Hi everybody, Pat Huntoon here from Technique Junkies, and today I'm going to be showing you how you can add foil to a canvas. So we're going to be using some fun texture paints. I'm actually using this paper artboard. You can also do this on a thicker canvas too if you have those on hand. Normally I would put a gesso on this, but because I'm going to be using a texture paint that has nice body to it, it actually does not need the gesso. I'm going to show you with two different colors. These Aladdin 3D texture paste paints come in either pearl or matte. So what I'm going to be doing is using a couple of different colors here. I'm going to start with the Agave, which is a pearlized color. This time I'm using two pearlized color. I'm using a Princeton Select 1-inch fine, very nice bristled paintbrush. You could use a foam brush. You could use whatever you have on hand. You can see it's got quite a bit of body to it, and I probably opened this paint probably March of 2019, and it is currently July of 2020, so you can see it didn't dry out in there. A couple of things I like about these paints, and I'll tell you as I just stroke this on. I'm just going to put a nice little layer on here, and then I'm going to add my second color in. What I really like about these paints is that if you put it through a stencil, if I decided to paint this through a stencil, it comes off the stencil. I've sold other products where once you put it through a stencil or get it on something, it just does not come off. And that is not this product at all. It's very easy to work with. It cleans up very nicely. It dries rather quickly. And if I move a heat tool around quickly, I can use a heat tool to dry it. So it is a 3D paint. You can get nice effects on it. It's good for paper, it's good for metal, it's good for wood, it's good for chipboard, and obviously it's very good for canvas. Okay, so I put a nice coat on there, and I'm going to go back over those edges again after my other color on here. I'm just going to let it dry for 1 minute or so. I'm going to wipe my brush off with a baby wipe. Okay, so we're going to use the citronella, and in the case of full disclosure here, again, this one was probably opened in March of 2019 also, and I had trouble opening this jar because I allowed some paint to gather on the inside edges. I was using these quite a bit at trade shows, doing demonstrations, and I wasn't always neat about how I closed them up. But because I closed some paint in the edges, I just had to stick a little paper piercer underneath to get it off there. And I'm just picking this off a little bit, but I don't have to do that right now. I just want to show you, though, even though I had trouble opening it, the paint is still nice and luscious and beautiful. So this paint does last quite a while. Just close it up nice and tight, and you'll be good to go. Okay. So I think that's pretty good. So I'm just going to add some strokes of this color. I don't want this to take over. So I'm going to kind of almost what would be like dry brushing. So I'm not going to use very much. So this is a nice background. Now with this background, I can stamp into this. I can stencil onto this. I could add ink to this. I could do a multitude of things with this. I don't think I could spray. I think the sprays would resist. We are just going to set this aside to dry. I'm not going to use a heat tool on this right now. I'm going to continue with this one with a different color palette that I had, so I can show you the actual stenciling and foiling technique. So that's the paint on there. I think it's awfully pretty. Okay, so before I add some foil to this, I'm actually going to add some sea waves to this. So this stamp I'm using right now is from Technique Junkies. It's S628 Sea Waves, and this stamps beautifully on paper. I think what I'm going to do is take a removable mount like this. Now this is pigment ink, and it is wet, so because it's that, I do have to dry it. I don't know if you can see that. Can you see that before I heat it? It's pretty cool. All right, so let me heat it, and I'll be right back. Okay, so that's pretty much dried. It's dry to the touch, which is what I want it to be. So now I'm going to be taking my stencil, and what I'm using is from a Colorful Life Design Stencils. It's a 6x6 stencil that says "You Are Mermazing," and it has this mermaid tail and the words "You Are Mermazing." So what I did was I sprayed my stencil with pixie spray. Pixie spray is a low-tack adhesive. I sprayed it on the back with pixie spray because I want this to hold nice and firmly to my work surface. So I'm just going to flip that over and put that on there and make sure it's on there nice and firmly. After you spray it with pixie spray, you want it to sit for about a minute just to make sure that you are allowing the pixie spray to become tacky, and that fits perfectly because I'm using a 6x6 stencil. Now I'm going to be using the Thermoweb Deco Foil Transfer Gel Duo, and using a regular spatula palette knife, I'm just going to take some out and I'm going to place it on here now. You want to use enough so that you fill the words in, but you don't want to use so much that it takes 6 hours to dry. So I'm just going to go right over the top of that. How perfectly that goes on there. I mean, look at that. That's going to be really nice when it's done. So this dries clear. So I can do one of two things. I can let it dry by itself right now, or I could use a heat tool on it, which is what I'm going to do. So a couple of hours have passed, and I half heated this with a heat tool. I did some of the words with the heat tool, and then the rest of it I allowed to dry naturally, okay? So the tail is all natural, the words are more heat tool. So what I'm going to do now is add some foil to this, and again, I can't put this through a laminator, nor can I put this through my Big Shot. So I'm going to show you what you do in a situation like that. We're going to be using two colors on this one. We're going to be using Mermaid Tail. So if you could see how holographic that is, it's just beautiful. This is a beautiful, beautiful color. So I'm going to cut off a small piece of that. I'm going to put this over the tail. I'm going to cut off a piece. The Technique Junkie foil comes 4 inches by 25 feet, not inches, feet, and it's $8.95. And I'm just going to put this right over my mermaid's tail. Always, 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 you want the design side up. And I'm just going to press that down lightly to begin with. All right. And then the bottom, because this has some pink in here, I'm going to use my raspberry color. And I'm just going to cut off enough for the words. And I'm going to put that along the bottom. Perfect. Whatever is touching the actual substance down there is actually the color that's going to show. So if I have these overlapped, it's this color. If it's touching the substance, that's going to show. So you don't have to worry about that. And then what I'm going to do is take a piece of copy paper, a thin piece of paper, and put it over the top of that. Okay, so I'm just going to lay it right over the top. Now, if this was not a thick item or a non-paper item, I could just run this through my Big Shot or through my laminator, but I can't do that, obviously. So I'm just going to take this, and I'm going to use my brayer over the top. I'm just going to braid that with lots of pressure. Lots and lots of pressure. Okay, so I brayered it once. I'm going to just go back over this one more time. I'm going to give it lots of pressure. All right, so I just want to make sure I get every bit of this. I'm turning it every way. I'm just being very careful. And in fact, you can see when I press down on this, you can see the details in the tail from the stencil. You can see the details. So I'm going to make sure I get all those little details in there. So I'm going to go over that with my hand. This is probably overkill, but I'd rather have it be overkill than have to go back and try to fix some part of this. So you can already see that it's coming up. So it's almost time to take it off. So I want to make sure the whole word is done too. Go back over it a few times. Remember, this is only going to stick where there's substance, where there's a duo. So let's pull it off. Oh, isn't that cute? You are mermazing. So cute. And the tail. Oh, look at that mermaid's tail. That is spectacular. Isn't that really cute? Isn't that a cute little project to give to somebody? Put a little wall hanging on it and make an adorable wall hanging. So that's the tutorial. I know it's a simple thing. I can keep embellishing this, but I'm not going to do that to you today. I'm just going to take a picture of it and we'll show you in the beginning. I also have this one, which is the one I painted earlier, and I'm allowing this to dry. So I will finish this before I post the video so you can see them both done. Thank you for watching today. I hope you enjoyed our little tutorial on transfer gel duo with foil on a object that is thicker than the capacity of than a laminator or a Big Shot. I hope you enjoyed this, and if you did, please give us a thumbs up on YouTube and subscribe to the Technique Junkies YouTube channel. Thank you for watching today.